Hey guys, good morning. It's Rick here, and on today's video I want to talk with you about the essential tools that I think every Airstream owner should carry with them. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. So like I mentioned in the intro, today's video is going to be talking about the essential tools that I think that every Airstream owner should be carrying in their toolbox whenever they're out traveling. This isn't an all-inclusive list, but it's some of the most essential tools that I think that you should carry and keep on hand. And it's going to allow you to fix probably 99% of the problems that you may come across on your Airstream. So we'll go ahead and get started. I got my toolbox out here. It's a beautiful morning. Birds are chirping, so hopefully they're not too distracting. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of share this with you based on our experience of traveling on the road full time for the last year and a half. So first off, and this first recommendation I'm going to give isn't necessarily a tool, but it's an absolute must that I think you should carry with you at all times, anytime you're with your Airstream, and that's your owner's manual. It's going to provide you a lot of great information and insights and recommendations on how to troubleshoot any problems you may have in your Airstream. So the first thing that I would recommend that you carry in your toolbox is your owner's manual. Keep that really available. Read through it periodically just to refresh yourself and remind yourself of some of the systems that are on your Airstream. Okay, so moving on to number one, and again, this isn't in any particular order of importance or anything. It's just what I think are some of the essential tools that you need to maintain in your toolbox is a set of assorted screwdrivers. Now, I'm not going to pull out all of my screwdrivers, but you know, this is probably my go-to screwdriver right here. It's one of those multifunctional tools that allows you to use a Phillips head as well as a standard head screwdriver of multiple sizes. So I would highly recommend you keep one of these readily available, probably in your toolbox, and if you've got the room for it, go ahead and put one inside your rig as well. I keep one in a drawer near the nightstand. Just allows me to make some of those quick fixes without having to go rummaging around out in the toolbox. The next tool I have on my list is an adjustable wrench. This one here is a crescent wrench, and really handy. You can get multiple sizes. This one here I think is a 10-inch, and it works really great for working on the rig. Don't use it a whole lot, but when you do need it, it's readily available for you as well. Moving on to the third tool that I carry in my toolbox, and it's just a set of simple open-end, boxed-end wrenches in various sizes. I just keep them on this little holder here, keeps them organized, and if I need to pull one off, I can just untwist it and use these wrenches. But again, an inexpensive set of wrenches. You can pick up any brand that you like. Again, don't use these a lot because there's not a lot of bolts that I would have to use these on the Airstream. But again, you may use it on your tow vehicle. Moving on to the next essential tool that I think you need to carry. And again, this is kind of a grouping of tools, and that is an assortment of pliers. So I keep slip joint pliers, needle nose pliers, standard pliers on hand. And I think if you keep at least those three on hand, you're probably going to pretty much cover any of your requirements that you're going to need for use of pliers. A great tool, essential for being able to do some of those minor repairs. Moving on to our next tool that I keep in my toolbox, and that is going to be a pair of wire strippers. Now, I have used these on several occasions, come in very handy. Whenever you have to do some minor electrical work, you can cut wires with them, you can strip the insulation off, and it's a great handy tool to keep in your toolbox. Moving on, again, another essential tool that I carry with me is just a small set of socket and driver. So this is just a 1/4-inch drive set. Again, not many uses on your Airstream for this, but there are a few tighten down terminals on your battery, a few other connectors that you may have. So that's why I don't carry a large set of sockets. I just haven't needed them. In a year and a half, I've done everything that I needed to with this 1/4-inch socket drive set. And when you're limited on space and weight, you don't necessarily want to carry around extra tools that you may not need. Number 7 on my list, and that is a set of Allen wrenches. So I got this little kind of multi-tool Allen wrench set. Has all the various sizes that you need. Again, nothing elaborate, just a nice tool that you can carry in your toolbox. Allows you to do, you know, minor repairs on your rig as needed. Now this one's probably a little bit more complicated, but would highly recommend that you carry one of these in your toolbox, and that is a multimeter. Now, I am by no means an electrical expert, but I do use this to check voltage. I use this to check continuity, use this for a multitude of other reasons. It's both AC and DC. It's a relatively simple one. You know, again, nothing overly complex, but it does come in handy, especially if you want to check to see what the voltage is coming out of your pedestal before you arrive. Now, again, you may say, well, I've got a surge protector will tell me that as well. But, you know, at times, maybe you need to do some other additional electrical testing, and a multimeter comes in real handy. Next on my list is just an assortment of tapes. So, of course, you always got to have a roll of duct tape. I've got some 3M tape. I've got Teflon tape. I also carry electrical tape with me as well. Don't have that up here, but trust me, it's in my toolbox. You're going to use those on various repairs. The Teflon tape, electrical tape, duct tape, 3M tape. You could pick an assortment of tapes just as long as you've got something readily available that you're going to be able to use for whatever repair need that you have. Moving on, next thing I have in my toolbox is a good quality flashlight. I really like this one here. It's a LED flashlight, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with, as well as it has this light on the side. So I can stand it up, I can point the light in the direction I need it. It also has a magnet on the tip here. Again, on an aluminum Airstream, the magnet doesn't always come in handy, but if you're working underneath or near the frame, you're working around the tires, that magnet has come in handy. In addition to a good quality flashlight, I also carry with me a headlamp, so I can work hands-free doing some repairs if you're down underneath the cabinets or somewhere else and the flashlight just doesn't work and you just need some extra light pointing in the direction where you're working at. Okay, moving on, the next item I have in my toolbox, again, this is probably on par with the multimeter. Some of you may or may not think this is an essential tool, but we use this, and it's an infrared thermometer. I use this to check the temperatures of my wheel hubs whenever we're traveling. Even though I have a TPMS system, I use this as well to check the temperatures. Another way, if you don't want to buy one of these and don't want to carry these, of course, you can always place your hand on the wheel hub and you'll be able to tell if the wheels feel like they're running a little bit hot. You just won't be able to get an exact temperature. I also use this to check the air temperature coming out of my AC vents. Comes in real handy for that. If you want to make sure that your air conditioning unit is producing enough cold air. If you like me and you got a Blackstone grill, comes in handy whenever you're out cooking as well. So, you know, for a few dollars, you can pick up one of these infrared thermometers. A nice tool to keep on hand when you're traveling on the road. Okay, next thing that I keep in my toolbox is just an assortment of lubricants. You know, there's all kinds of brands out there you can get. We keep Boshield's T90, which is a great lubricant, as well as I also carry some WD-40 silicone lubricant spray. I have, you know, just some regular standard WD-40. I have some other, you know, rubber conditioning seal sprays. But again, just an assortment of lubricants, whatever it is you prefer to use, is a great way to keep your rig running, keeping those awnings opening and closing with no problems, keeping your rubber seals lubricated and conditioned, your steps, and all those other types of things where you're going to need some of those lubricants. Next on our list, of course, this is an essential tool, and that is a tire pressure gauge. I keep multiple of these around. I keep some in my toolbox, some in the truck, in the door, as well as with some other areas, just because you never know when you're going to need one of these and you don't want to go looking around for it. But again, another great tool. Even though we use a TPMS system that will give you our air pressure, I always like to back it up with a manual air pressure gauge. Next item that I have in my toolbox is a rubber mallet. This comes in handy whenever you need to do some minor adjustments per se, and you just need to be able to get a little bit of persuasion in something and you don't want to do any damage with it. It is kind of a bulky item, so if you were going to leave something out of your toolbox, this could be something that you could get by without. But in my situation, you never know when you're going to need a rubber mallet to be able to do a little bit of persuasion whenever you're trying to work on a repair. Something else that we carry is just a small hammer, nothing large. Again, this is just something that you may need in your repairs. Relatively small, probably a couple of pounds, fits easily in the toolbox for those minor repairs where you're going to need a hammer. Moving on, I've got a utility knife. We keep this on hand as well. This comes in handy anytime you need to make any minor cuts, precision cuts and so forth. Next item that I carry in my toolbox is a tape measure. Now this is just a relatively small, inexpensive one. It's a 12-foot tape measure. Use this just for measuring a few things around the Airstream. You know, if I need to cut a piece of PEX tubing or something like that, I can use this real quick to measure out a length that I need and then make that cut. Moving on, here's another essential tool that we carry in our toolbox, and that is a caulk gun. I've used this on more occasions than I wish, but without it, I wouldn't have been able to complete the repairs on our Airstream. Now, again, if you're a part-time traveler and you develop a problem that's going to require some type of application of some type of sealant or adhesive, maybe you don't carry one of these with you and you make those repairs once you return back home. But since Lisa and I live full-time on the road, it was essential for us to have a caulk gun readily available for those times when I needed to do some repairs. It required adding some more Dicor or Sikaflex or some other type of sealant or adhesive to the Airstream. Okay, so the next item that I have on our list is a good quality torque wrench. This one here probably cost a little over $100 or so. Nothing too expensive. Got an extension on here as well as an impact socket on the end here that fits the lug nuts on our wheels. Again, comes in real handy whenever you're getting ready to get on the road and you want to check the torque on your wheels and make sure that you're operating safely. Okay, so the next item that we carry that is essential is a good jack or bottle jack. In our case, we carry a 6-ton bottle jack. Again, you can pick these up at Harbor Freight. You can pick them up at any auto parts store. This one here will lower down to a little over 8 inches and extends to just about 16 inches. If that's not enough, of course, you can put blocks of wood underneath it or something to that effect. But again, an absolute must in my case, because I'll need something like this potentially if I got to change a tire on my tow vehicle or on the rig. Now, for your rig, if you've got to change a tire, if you don't want to carry around a heavy bottle jack such as this, you can use blocks or some of those other tire changing apparatuses that you back up on that allow you then to elevate one wheel if you've got a dual axle rig and then repair or replace that tire as needed. Okay, so moving on, here's another example of kind of an exotic tool that I carry in my toolbox. Again, probably not something that you're going to need if you just part-time or camp on the weekends, but for a full-timer, something that I found was invaluable for me, and that's a Bluetooth-enabled endoscope. So what I can do with this, and I think this has got about a 6 to 10 foot fiber optic cable here with a camera and a light on the end, but this will connect wirelessly through Bluetooth to my phone. And when I'm using this, I can feed it into various places in the Airstream, and it'll allow me to see areas. Maybe I got a leak, or maybe I've got some other problem I'm trying to decide, you know, how do I fix that item. But it'll allow me to feed this into those small crevices and spaces and allow me to get eyes on without having to go ahead and disassemble some of the cabinets or remove some other panels or something to that effect. So again, not very expensive. Pick this up on Amazon. Great tool to keep in your toolbox if you've got the space for it. Next thing I have on my essential list is a gas leak detector. You know, so we use propane in our rig, just like all of you most likely do. And there may be times when you have a leak in one of your gas lines around your stove, around your water heater, around your furnace, or even just simply around your propane bottles. You know, you can always use soapy water. That's effective, but it can be kind of messy depending on where you're working at if you're trying to apply soapy water. Whereas this gas leak detector, you just turn it on and it'll determine whether it's a propane leak, a natural gas leak, or other types of gases that you may have. Relatively simple, inexpensive, good tool to carry and keep on hand. Next thing that I have is a cordless drill and drill bits. I only keep just a small number of drills, really haven't had a need for that. In addition, I use this with this special socket on here to raise and lower my stabilizing jacks. But again, something that's real handy, along with just an assortment of various drills, can help you continue on your journeys and make minor repairs as needed. Okay, so moving on. Let me see, where did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Oh, down here in my toolbox, I've got something that every Airstream owner should have, whether or not you ever use it, and that is a rivet gun. I also carry assorted rivets, but for minor repairs, fixing those popped rivets that you're going to find, and I guarantee if you own an Airstream long enough, you're going to end up having some rivets pop, especially on the interior of your rig. Rivet gun, a simple way to replace those rivets, and you know, very, very inexpensive tool to keep on hand, along with some assorted rivets. Moving on, next is a PEX tubing cutter. So this comes in real handy if you've got to do any type of plumbing work on your rig while you're out traveling. Simple device, just has this blade here on this end. Put your PEX tubing in there, and that allows you to make a nice clean cut without any issues. A few dollars, a very effective tool. Carry this with me all the time. I've used it on several occasions whenever I've added in check valves or had to replace some other fittings on my rig. So a good tool to keep on hand. Next on my list, again, something, again, not in any particular order, but anytime you're working on your rig, either indoors or outdoors, especially if you're doing any type of cutting or drilling or anything like that that's going to have particles flying around, a good pair of eye protection is a must in my opinion. Help keep anything out of your eyes, and if you've ever had anything get in your eyes, sawdust, metal flakes or anything like that, it can be very hazardous to your vision. So a good pair of eye protection is a must and very essential to keep in your toolbox. The next tool that I keep is a bubble level. A simple tool, it's nothing expensive, not very big, but it'll allow you to determine if your vehicle's level, or your rig's level. You can use it if you're applying, you know, hanging a picture inside your Airstream and your wife wants to make sure that it's level and doesn't look crooked. You know, all kinds of different uses you can use this for, and relatively small, fits in your toolbox without any problem. Something that I also keep on hand is just an assortment of wire brushes. These come in handy if you need to clean the terminals on your batteries, if you need to, you know, scrape off some type of adhesive off of something, you know, a good wire brush. This one's probably seen its better days. It means I've used it quite a bit, but just keeping an assortment of wire brushes on hand. And then I think we're down to probably the last two items that I think are essential for everybody to carry. And that is, let me just reach down here and pull this up. That is an air compressor. Again, we use the Vi-Air air compressor. Now this is kind of a bigger item. It's not going to fit in your toolbox, but it definitely will fit inside of your, or in the bed of your truck. But if you're out on the road and you need to put air in your rig and you're not near a gas station, this is worth its weight in gold. I use this frequently, you know, to top off the air on my tires on both the tow vehicle as well as on the Airstream. Okay, so the last essential tool that I carry, again, it's not going to fit in my toolbox, but I think it's something that every Airstream owner should be carrying with them, and that is a telescoping ladder. So this one here is a 12-foot telescoping ladder. You can find various brands of this on Amazon or some of your other local hardware stores. There's been numerous occasions when I've had to get up on the roof, either to just do general maintenance, cleaning the air conditioner, or I had to use it to get up on the roof to repair a leak that I had discovered. If you got to find room in your tow vehicle, it's definitely well worth it, along with your air compressor. I would not travel without either one of these when we're out on the road, whether it's full-time or part-time. Okay guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you found this information useful. Again, this is what I consider the essential tools that I carry in my toolbox at all times whenever we're traveling. If you have any questions or comments, or you think I may have missed an essential tool that I should be carrying, please leave those in the comment section below. If you like this video, please consider giving us a thumbs up. It really helps us out. Also, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel. We'd love to have you follow along. If we don't hear from you, hopefully we'll see you down the road.